Hello you beautiful people, and welcome once again to a discussion about how easy it is to make a lot of profit in a little bit of time with making Gene Vipers. This is the second time I'm making a video on this topic, and honestly it's gonna be the last time, just because after the previous video when I made 61 Vipers in total, I didn't exactly feel like I had enough of them to have a big enough pool of data to say that yes, this is in general profitable. But obviously after I made that video I placed more pre-orders for more Vipers, and here we are about 2 weeks later. I made another 117 Vipers on top of those older 61, bringing this to a total of about 180 or so Vipers made. And after making all of these, 180 or so Vipers, it's still profitable for me. I didn't lose any money. In fact, if you read the title of this video, I'm probably most likely going to put there how much money I made. So in general, for me, it seems that on the long run this method of making money is definitely profitable. Maybe you're going to lose money if you only buy, let's say, 10 Vipers and you make those into basically Gene, Bone and Won, and you don't get any Gene Vipers. Then yeah, I would assume you're gonna lose some money if you only buy a couple of them, but in the long run it seems to work. Now, I want to make this clear from the beginning, because some people seem to complain that I'm breaking the marketplace or I really shouldn't be sharing these methods, but I basically make videos on whatever I find interesting in the game, and to me at the moment this seems to be very interesting because it seems to be making me a lot of money with so little effort, to the point where it's better than grinding for me at the moment. So just to reference, about a year ago I discovered that exactly how profitable it is to do relic scrolls and pilafres scrolls for the original NA progression series, and back then people also cried about this, me sharing the method. And 1 year later, these days with today's prices, I still have the Excel file with the relic money per hour calculator, and it seems like back then it was like 70 millions per hour from relics, and these days with the current prices it's like 90 millions per hour. So if anything, the method became even more profitable because nobody really likes to do relic scrolls. As profitable as they are, nobody likes to do them. So it's gonna become the same for Gene Vipers, or just making Vipers in general. People are gonna forget about this, or they just don't care enough to do this on the long run. So after I made the first video, I realized that yes, it became a little bit harder to pre-order Vipers, the base ones, but a week later the pre-orders went back to normal. They just boosted up to like 600 pre-orders because people wanted to try out the method, I guess, and then these days it's back to 100 something pre-orders. So it's still relatively easy to get the Black Magic Crystal Vipers if you wait for them. Obviously you don't have to just put the pre-order and sit there and wait for them. Just pre-order 10, that's the maximum 10 base Black Magic Crystal Vipers, and then just go grind or do life skills or whatever, and once you get those, then put another pre-order and so on. By the way, all of the clips with me making those will be playing in the background if you want to pay attention to those. For people who still don't know how this works, if you are just, I guess, new to the game in general, the base idea for this is you pre-order the base Black Magic Crystal Vipers 10 by 10 from the marketplace. Obviously this is gonna be a money investment. You have to put in money to make money, since you are basically, let's say, abusing the marketplace. After you get those base Black Magic Crystal Vipers, you buy one Forest Fury for each Viper you have. So if you have 50 Vipers, you buy 50 Forest Furies, and then you buy a lot of normal Black Magic Crystals, the ones that are around 5 millions in price, and you melt those for mystical shards, the green ones, and then you combine all 3 of these items to attempt to make a Gene Viper. If it's a Bone or a Won, this time I did take your feedback and I did make all of the Bone and Won Vipers, the non-profitable ones, into either Hums or Macalods, however you pronounce the blue crystals, the AP ones, and then I sold those to the marketplace. So the Excel file this time is actually a little bit more detailed, and in my opinion, again, this is gonna be the final version of it, and it's gonna stay in my Excel file for me to reference later on, just like the relic money per hour calculator. So as I said, I made 117 Vipers in total. I started with the NA account where I made 51 in total. The clips probably already finished playing, and from those I'm gonna show a couple of different versions of the Excel file just because I took 2 more screenshots while I was editing it. The first screenshot is gonna be, let me first explain. So I made 51 Vipers on NA, then the second session was on EU where I made 34 Vipers in total, and then I did a second session on EU, so the third session in total, where I made another 32 Vipers on top of the previous 34 to a total of 66 for the EU server. On the Excel file, the first picture, which is probably now on the screen, this one I made right after I finished the NA session and the first EU session with the first 34 Vipers, and back then it seemed like it was much more profitable to do this on the NA market with the NA prices than on EU, because on EU I made, I believe, like 300 something millions of profit, where on NA I believe it was like 800 million, so it was quite a big difference. After I added the second session for the EU, so the 32 extra Vipers for the 66 total, the price changed, the profit went up in terms of money per hour. It went up to, I believe, around 600 millions profit, and these days this is the Excel file with how it looks with the prices updated like 2 days later after those screenshots, and with basically everything in here. So these days this is the NA session, these 2 columns where again I placed both the EU and NA prices if you want to see differences, and these 2 columns are the EU session, the 66 Vipers and 51 Vipers made in total. From the NA session I made about 1 billion profit on EU, or 1.2 billion with the NA prices, and from the EU session a little bit less, at around 800 millions profit. All of these 117 Vipers took me probably 3 hours to make, excluding the time where I was pre-ordering the base Vipers. Obviously I was AFK for those, but just making the Vipers in general, I think it took me around 3 to 4 hours at most. So grinding for 4 hours very rarely will give you 1 billion profit, so that's why I say this method seems to be very good for me at the moment, and I'm probably going to keep doing this even after this video is done. Maybe not as often, since the project is kind of finished. I no longer need to collect data for this, but I will probably still do this. Once again, here are the pictures, if you're interested just visually seeing the NA 51 Vipers, then the 34 ones made on EU, and then the 31 plus 1, because for the last Viper I needed 1 more and I got 2 from the pre-order, so I had to make 1 extra, and the very last one seems to be a Djinn, which was quite nice profit wise. Again, if you want to see those. The Excel file is very easy to understand if you didn't already catch onto it. First up, the first 4 rows, the money I invested into this, at least part of it. So we have the black magic crystals, how many I bought from the marketplace. Looking at the EU session, I bought 586 of them from the market, and after melting those I got 660 magical shards. This time I did keep track of the magical shards as well, just to see what is the proc rate to get 2 of those after melting them. People said it's around 10% chance for the dual proc, and it seems to be about that. From the NA session it was almost 9% chance, the proc rate, and on EU it was about 11%, so it seems to be better for EU. Again, just RNG. Then the Forest Furies I bought, 66 and 51. The Black Magic Crystal Vipers that I pre-ordered, the price for these seems to be once again max price for both EU and NA, but the Forest Fury is actually cheaper on EU than it is on NA. The prices for the black magic crystal, the normal BMCs, actually did change from the previous video. The NA prices went down, the EU prices stayed about the same, if not went up. So in today's case, it seems to be cheaper to buy black magic crystals on NA. The Vipers that I made, 11, I got slightly better RNG on the NA session. From 51 Vipers I got 11 genes, whereas on EU from 66 attempts I got only 10, so worse RNG, with again the prices that they sell. Then the base Hums that I bought, the base blue crystals that I bought, and the Garmoth scales. Again, money invested, so money lost, required to make the Hums, the Hums and the Macalods. And then again, the Hums and the blue crystals that I actually made and sold to the marketplace for profit. So basically, in terms of profit alone, you have this row with the Gene Vipers, these two rows with the blue and the Hum crystals, and then this one marked in blue, the different one. This is basically money that I saved from the extra procs from the black magic crystals. If it's 10% chance to get 2 of them, I obviously don't need to buy as many black magic crystals. It's not exactly 10 of them required per Viper attempt. And here at the bottom, I decided to take a look at exactly how much money extra I'm making by actually creating the Hum crystals and the blue ones. So yeah, for example, if I was to take the base Won and Bon Vipers and sell those to the marketplace, I would be basically losing about 19 millions of profit from the Hums, and basically making the Hum crystal gives me an extra 19 millions of profit, and from the blue crystals about 15 millions extra profit by not selling the Wons and the Bonds and just selling Hums instead. So even though it takes me a little bit more time to actually convert those crystals into Hums and Macalods, it's still worth it because I'm getting most of the money back. Basically, if you look again at these last 2 rows, this is the money that I'm losing per each Bon and Won crystal made, in terms of after taking into account all of the items required to buy the after spending all of the money to attempt to make a Viper, I'm losing about 14 or 18 millions if I get a Bon or a Won. And then obviously if you get a Gene Viper, which is around 300 millions, you're looking at maybe 200 and something millions of profit. So even if you get only 1 Gene Viper out of 10 attempts, it still seems to be maybe breaking even or slightly profitable. So that's gonna be it. Again, this is the second time I'm talking about this topic, and probably most people don't really care about this that much. I'm sure immediately after this video comes out, the method is gonna be not exactly usable because a lot of people will put pre-orders for the Vipers, but I assume that in a week or 2 from now, things will go back to normal. In my case, I'm glad I did this project. Again, this Excel file will stay and keep getting updated in terms of prices in my Excel file forever, let's say, and I'm just gonna keep looking at it like I do with the relic money per hour calculator, and whenever I feel like this method is gonna be, or it seems like it will turn out to be very profitable, I'm probably going to keep doing this, in the long run. Even now, if I want to make a lot of money, at least these days, I'm probably better off doing some relic scrolls instead of grinding at Manchoms or somewhere else, because I'm still making almost the same profit, with the exception that relic scrolls are a lot more boring. In the case of Vipers, it's not as boring because while you're melting all of those black magic crystals, you can easily just go AFK or watch Netflix, watch YouTube, just do whatever you want. It doesn't require as much involvement as relic scrolls do. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something today. I hope I gave you some extra insight, I guess, of one way of making money through the marketplace. Obviously, for this to work, you need a value pack, otherwise you're losing a lot of the profits, since the base idea is to buy stuff from the marketplace, process them and then sell them back to the marketplace. By the way, all of the profits shown in the Excel file already include the marketplace tax, so the 84.5% return, so you don't really have to worry about that either. Again, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. If you like the video, like the video. If you dislike the video and don't want this method to be well known, just dislike the video. Don't really care that much, honestly. I will see you next time with a different video, and well, until then, stay happy as always, and goodbye.